South Africa's National Assembly has passed the one-stop border post bill. This move is part of the establishment of a joint border post with neighbouring countries. The main aim is to ease the movement of people and trade across borders. Joining us now is Mosa Chabane, chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs. Chairperson, good to have you, and thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. I see it that much of what this bill seeks to establish is regulation that pertains particularly to the port environment. Talk to us about what the thinking is about having common control zones that are governed by similar laws, that of the Republic and that of the adjoining states, whichever states that would be.
Well, thanks very much, and we appreciate for inviting us to this important conversation. You recall that in the sixth administration, there are three important reforms that we propose in Parliament. One is around the Border Management Act and the establishment of the Border Management Authority. And secondly is the bill that was presented to Parliament, One-Stop Border Post Bill, that the committee has interacted with. And three is the review of all the migration landscape, the citizenship, and also protection of refugees. And these are key initiatives in order to make sure that we streamline our border lines, but we enhance the 73 ports of entry throughout the country. And these are initiatives that have been taken in order to make sure that the issues that are raised by members of the community and stakeholders around the country in relation to our porous borders. And these are the initiatives that we seek to respond to that as Parliament.
Organizationally, personnel-wise, what are the implications of this arrangement? I know at this point it's still a bill, but of course it's still to be established. What will it actually mean in terms of the organization itself, BMA, and the personnel thereof?
This is part of the initiative that government and Parliament have able to make sure that responding to the questions of the porous borders, we're able to put mechanism or legislative in place so that we're able to mitigate the areas of concern by the citizens. And this will enhance the work of the Border Management Authority. You'll know that in the sixth administration, Cabinet took a decision to propose or invite interested stakeholders or private entities to partner with government to redevelop the 6 ports of entry. And I think that is in the process of announcing those final bidders so that they're able to construct in the 6 ports of entry. It's an initiative that will respond to the issues that have been raised by the members of society. We're confident as Parliament or as members of the Portfolio Committee of Home Affairs that the work that we have been put across in terms of the legislation to regulate this initiative of one border stop post is important. You will also look at the Churungi border post, which align with Malawi, Zimbabwe, and Zambia. That is also making sure that the movement of goods, movement of persons, and also is easy in terms of integration, both of economic interventions and also security measures within the borderlines. And we think that this initiative will respond and also contribute to the economic activities that we envisage as a country.
So what is this that you're contemplating as far as these agreements are concerned? So let's talk about, for example, the authorized officials who are meant to be implementing laws. How does it actually work? There's some concern, for example, that this might adversely affect asylum seekers, so they'll be detained without reason and so on and so forth. So what do you envisage would happen?
Well, South Africa is part of the global forums and the treaties that government at the part. And I know you understand that the 3 arms of state in the level of the government, there are treaties that they've signed with other member states in relation to migration landscape. And one of the areas that, if you note that in the country, there are 5 refugee centers which are located. And part of the initiative of this one border post is that we'll then relocate all the refugee centers to be located in the ports of entry where they are going to be redeveloped. But in time, we'll able to function all the 53 border entries within the country. It's going to be a toll at the level of the executive, as you have known that in the previous engagement with the Border Management Authority, the underfunding contribute to make sure that the advance the objective that I enshrined in terms of the overall planning of the Border Management Authority. We know that it will also take toll in relation to the new initiative of redeveloping the 6 ports of entry, but hope that with the initiative that government have taken to invite the private sector, that I think will respond to these issues that we're raising as members of society, but also with the plans that we put across. And this bill will therefore respond to the overall regulations on how they must facilitate the redevelopment of the border post in the 6 ports of entry.
Is it articulated for you as members of parliament which states immediately would be targeted for the implementation of these agreements, or is that something that you would leave to the minister, I suppose, at this point?
Well, the Border Management Authority commissioners have already engaged or continuously engaging with member states in relation to the envisaged work that they're going to undertake, and also the former Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Mtswaledi, has already engaged on the matter, and the current Minister, Dr. Schreiber, are collectively working on this engagement with other member states in terms of these issues. You will recall that post the Mozambique elections, the Border Management Authority, led by the Dr. Mashiapat, have done sufficient work in relation to making sure that they meant the Libombo, but also integration in terms of the engagement with the Mozambique security forces, so that we don't have a challenge for eruption of violence within this border entry. And this is a demonstration of the work that is being engaged at the level of the executive. And the brief that we receive, we've been receiving from the executive led by Dr. Schreiber and Commissioner Mashiapata, and all law enforcement agencies demonstrate that we're in the correct path. One of the concerns that we must say is that we need to engage further with the public works. If you call all the borders, the fencing 4,862 kilometers, the fencings are down. The Joint Standing Committee of Defense have just visited Beit Bridge. And that's a concern in terms of the making sure that funding must be put across so that we respond to security measures within our borderlines and integration.
So what are the financial implications then that we're talking about of this envisaged agreements that will happen between member states? For example, I mean, as you put it, this is part of the broader reforms within the border control environment or border law enforcement services environment that dates back to 2009 when this idea was introduced. BMA itself was only launched in October 2023, but part of what is envisaged there is that this is going to be technology driven. So there needs to be integration in terms of that technology compatible with the states that you are going to be formulating a working relationship with. So what does that mean in terms of who will spend on what?
You'll recall that earlier this year or late last year, the Border Management Authority convened what we call a conference to invite experts in the space of technology, and to give lessons from other countries in terms of the workings, the successes of the Border Management Authority, the tools that are required in order to mend, but also to engage in the current space of the technology. And I think that is an area that is ongoing in terms of the discussions with other member states at the level of the BMA led by the Commissioner Miebza, but also at the level of the executive led by both Minister Schreiber and Deputy Minister Njabulo Nzunza. You recall that when we're engaging, when we're passing the budget, one of the critical issues that all of us as members of parliament, we also advance the argument of the new modern technology in order to mend all the 63 ports of entry. But as I've indicated earlier, resources are going to play a role in order to make sure that all the areas that are identified by the Border Management Authority, all the areas that are identified for establishment or redevelopment of the one-stop border post will require a lot of resources. We've also, at our part, at the level of the portfolio committee, engaged with the appropriation committee, the finance committee, to alert in terms of the shortcomings that if we don't put resources on these activities that are required for Border Management Authority and also the one-stop border post, it's going to be a future a challenge in order to advance and protect our territory, but making sure that there's easy movement of goods and also integration to promote economic space within our country. So those are some of the areas that I think at the level of the government and the portfolio committee were in the Border Management Authority, we're engaging. And I think there's also a business case that also been submitted to National Treasury to engage around these areas of concerns that were raising. And we hope that in this midterm budget review, the minister will also allocate some of the money in order that both the executive are able to initiate these activities that are informed by the that we've taken.
That's Mosa Chabane, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on. Well.